Ethan Hawke, most known for his divorce to Uma Thurman, and the vagina half of the Game of Thrones power incest couple, Lena Headey, star, air quote, end air quote, in what turned out to be the most surprising comedy of this summer, Smile.
We saw The Purge.
I'm Josh Jessen.
Brandon Kaiser.
Kid Coleman Cool.
Mitch Trantham.
So yeah, we saw The Purge. It is written and directed by James DeMonaco. And it stars Ethan Hawke and Lena Headey. Anyone else you probably don't know. So we'll leave it at that. So Josh, let's start us off as we discuss The Purge.
So, what of James DeMonaco? Poorly written and adequately directed by James DeMonaco. I like the action sequences. There was some good action sequences. We'll just get that out because that's the only positive thing I'm going to say about it right now is that some of the action sequences were well filmed and were at least better than, you know what, the style they're going. I mean, everything else was fucking stupid though. And that's basically where we're at. It was just, the acting wasn't even that great. I mean, Ethan Hawke, what does he do? What does Ethan Hawke do? And we had this before we started recording. What does Ethan Hawke do? He's in movies, but what does he do? Nothing.
He acts.
Not really. Not if I had to watch this movie.
Alright, what else you got? We're not going to bash Ethan Hawke for, 5 minutes here.
I won't. But
He's had a long career.
He's had a long career of something.
I don't think he's that bad.
Hollywood C-lister Ethan Hawke.
I don't think he's that bad, so let's go.
So has Ron Howard's brother was Clint Howard.
Clint Howard.
Clint Howard has a long career too.
But he's awesome. And he looks fucking weird. So that's why he gets mad.
Yeah, exactly.
He needs less makeup for those horror roles. But anyway, no, this movie. I don't know. I didn't really think the premise was going to be that strong to begin with. I mean, it's a shaky ground to begin with. Like, everyone can do whatever they want one day, and suddenly that gets rid of everything, and they kind of explain it in the film, I guess, a little. But it just never really. I didn't really think the premise was going to be that great. And then it comes down to, how does it all go wrong? Well, of course, it's the shitty kid syndrome. Shitty kid syndrome has been a pox on a lot of home invasion movies.
Well, and movies in general.
But typically in a home invasion scenario, usually a shitty kid does something shitty. And this is no exception. Don't expect anything new from this movie. Or actually don't expect anything from this movie because it pretty much lays it all out there right away and tells you what it's going to do. So you don't really have to expect because it's holding your hand the entire way. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I couldn't foreshadow this bigger if I didn't put a big sign on. I said that this is happening later in the movie. They don't actually do that, but they almost wink at the camera. Like whenever something happens, you're just like, I'm going to have some cookies for you. It's like I could just see them winking at the camera, or like the guy writing this, like, I know where I'm going to put this later in the script.
I thought it was more of, we're going to give you a pause for a second so that you can mentally catch up to what we're showing you right now.
And this movie didn't need that. It did. There was like a lot of pauses, and you're like, no, I get it. Next, and then it's gladly obliges you by going to the next telltale sign of whatever's happening. I don't know. This movie it brought nothing to the table. It didn't do anything. I don't know how it's doing in the theaters. I don't know how much it cost to make, but I know
it's doing pretty good.
It cost me a lot to see it.
Pretty good.
I don't know why it's doing good.
It was very unintentionally funny. It was very funny. I know it wasn't supposed to be, but I know it's not just me or us when the entire theater starts laughing.
Yeah.
And I mean, I wouldn't say it was a packed house, but there was a fair decent amount of people in the theater with us, and it was a whole communal laughter.
I'd say
especially near the end, near the end where it's it's supposed to be like the ramifications and everything's coming together. Everyone's just laughing.
I'd say
that's how stupid it was.
I'd say we laughed more than the other people in the audience, but they did also laugh quite a bit.
Yeah.
So it's not like It's not like we were the movie snobs in the audience laughing.
No, but like near the end where they're wrapping it all up and they're trying to like show you this scene and it's supposed to be touching and everyone's just laughing.
Yeah.
You did something wrong. That's basically all I gotta say.
Or it's supposed to be impactful, not necessarily,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, so like I said, I thought it was a flimsy premise. And the action scenes were, I guess, okay, but a lot of the acting was just kind of bland or overacted in the part of the villain. What was his name? Nice? Polite?
The polite leader.
Polite leader?
Or Polite Stranger.
Polite,
whatever the hell
no, I think it was Polite Leader.
Yeah,
it was.
Polite
It was polite.
I think it was.
Everyone was polite, right?
Silent
No, this is the
Stranger
one.
was the homeless man.
Almost one of those
I
bloody
don't think
strangers.
Bloody Stranger.
Bloody Stranger. Anyways.
So it's, like they didn't even give anyone names in this movie, obviously. But yeah, no, I think everything was like the acting was just kind of like overacted at parts, and then there's like the moral conundrums and stuff. Like it seems like they're trying to make you think about stuff, but they were doing it at the worst possible time. Like you're gonna have this moral quandary now. Like it's that sort of it's just.
Yeah, well, I mean, they make him like the homeless guy, a black guy who's also a veteran, so he like plays on the heartstrings of the audience.
Well, he's
Sort of
supposed
like-
to.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's the thing is like it's a movie that they're trying to point at the audience and make the audience think. It's not like the characters in the movie are supposed to be reacting to this stuff.
Right.
It's for the viewing audience to kind
Well,
of because they can't actually just say it in the movie because that wouldn't be politically correct for them to go a black veteran who's a homeless person. We should feel sorry for them,
Yeah.
family. It's not like they could do that in the movie, so they just kind of like they never address it, but it's it's there just specifically to get the audience to go. I wish they would help them. And then while he's bleeding out all over the place, then they're duct taping, and they're like, "Hey, you know what? We should help him. And leave him duct taped to the chair because that's the smart thing." Right? And
there's a lot of weird things like that.
in that house. And the people that are like the strangely stealthy preppy students who just like, they're doing all the creepy horror movie like vanishing. Like, they're just people. Why are they vanishing? Why are they stealthy? How big is this house that like if you turn around, like, and he does that like 3 or 4, maybe 5 times in the movie where he turns one way, looks back and someone's like, one of his kids, someone's run off and he's like, how do you not know where they are in your own damn house?
There was one thing where
Even the hobo got away doing that. He Batmaned everyone.
Not to spoil anything, but there's this one scene where Ethan Hawke shoots this guy, right? I mean, you know
Yeah,
this
the
is gonna happen
advantage
in
of the
movie,
night.
right? And literally, the guy was 2 feet behind him. He had to be in the timing of this shot because they go down the same hallway.
Yeah.
And Ethan Hawke turns and then turns around, and the guy's right there, and he shoots him. And it's like, the guy was 2 feet behind you. He could have killed you before you turned this corner. So many problems with logic in this movie, basically. So
It's like they were trying to make this weird, awkward commentary about a hypothetical situation, but they were also trying to make a horror movie. Like
I guess.
like because they all had the mask and they were like disappearing and like jumping out, and it was like I saw like a horror movie thing where they weren't really making any horror movie type. I don't think they knew what they were doing in this movie.
No, I don't think so.
And then by not having a clear direction.
Felt they tried to make it a bit like
Not that I'm
political,
blaming
like a
terrible
general
writer,
voice,
director.
James DeMonaco.
James DeMonaco for anything. Not that it. So I don't think this movie had any direction. The script didn't have any direction, and it didn't really do anything at all.
It's nothing personal, James.
Although I looked at his IMDb page, so it's not like
All right.
not like this. So there you go.
All
End
right,
result.
is your rant complete now?
This movie did
Are we
nothing.
passing the baton now to
You take it away. You.
All right. So, anyways, going into this movie, I actually thought the premise was kind of interesting. All right, this theoretical landscape where everyone gets their frustrations out in one night, so therefore crime is down and poverty's down and all that kind of stuff. Seemed kind of interesting. It seemed like they wanted to build like a different view on our world if something was different. Kind of like in the way BioShock Infinite tried to do that, right? But this was not done as well as BioShock Infinite, so it doesn't quite work. I got vibes of trying to be that and then not succeeding. But anyways, so I thought it was an interesting premise, but it just didn't really live up to that premise, I guess, or do anything all that interesting with it. As you said, it's definitely unintentionally funny, as we found out. But I will say that everything in this movie, there's no character development. It is all. Everything is done for the sake of plot.
There is one.
It is exposition.
You got it.
Is
Yeah,
exposition after exposition.
There's
there is no plot. There is no character development here. You don't get. It's a short movie.
Thankfully.
And you
Yeah,
still feel like
that's
it's
a
too
plus.
long. That's the worst part. You still feel like it's too long. And it's because you don't care about these characters. And
No, you know
the
what?
decisions
Yeah.
they make are kind of decisions for a society like we have with laws, and we don't have this purge, event that happens. So their decisions are completely outside the realm of the society they put the characters in. The decision, the morality of the characters, it's like, well, this happens, you've been accustomed to it for however many years now. There's no reason that people should react in the way they do in this movie. The parenting is terrible, and the kids are dumb.
God
And those
damn
two things combined basically set up the entire way this movie plays out. And so with it, though both those things fixed, none of this would have happened. And I know they're trying to make a movie and have it be entertaining, so they kind of do that stuff to make an excuse to have this stuff happen, but it just doesn't work. Every plot twist, every plot line, everything is predictable from
I don't
kind
think
of the
there were any
first
twists.
15 minutes or whatever. Well, they tried to do a twist like towards the end,
Oh.
and it was obvious
Oh, yeah, I guess.
from
I-
kind of like you
see,
said at the
it-
beginning of the movie.
Yeah, like I don't consider
I
that a twist.
consider it a twist because I expected them to actually do something creative.
You
Or
were
interesting.
at this point.
I expected you to say not
in
what I
the
was
movie,
expecting.
What in the movie up to that point led you to believe they were going to do something creative and original?
Because
That's what I want to know.
Because they have.
Because the rest of the beginning of the movie where they didn't. I thought, okay, they saved everything for the end.
Interesting.
So, anyways, and I've complained. I think I complained in the Now You See Me review where I said, dumb cops, irritate me. Same goes for dumb children. I think the way the society is, the
Dumb
kids.
children are-
The kids with their massive morality issues have no place in this society, and it kind of looks.
Kill
You
them.
look at something like The Walking Dead, in which Carl is cold, and he's like a stone cold killer, and he does whatever he does to survive and help the people. That is what happens in a society like that. Here, this kid has no, basically, he almost is oblivious to what's going on.
But you know what he does
or he
have?
acts like that.
The code to open the gate.
Yeah! And that's what I mean. They just let their
Yeah,
kids
that's
go off and do
another-
whatever they
Why
want.
the
They
fuck
let
did
them.
they give him the goddamn code?
I wouldn't.
They didn't. I guess
He's
he
a
watched
shitty
them.
kid.
It's
No reason to.
This is what I'm talking about. Bad parenting. Exactly. These are things that shouldn't have happened if these people were actually decent parents. So, anyways, I think they had this movie what they wanted to do.
I agree.
think you could have done an interesting premise here, but you don't have it be, oh, we helped this guy come into the house, and then these people who are chasing him come in and attack us, right? That isn't the premise you should have had. You should have set it up kind of more traditionally, I guess, to make it make more sense or be entertaining enough, and make it just more of an action movie. You make it a sort of Home Alone thing without a kid, right? You make it, this purge
Yeah, that's
happens,
the thing.
you set up that, maybe the main
Well, really
character
quick.
at one point had pissed off a group of people, or, had done something to deserve, people coming after him, so he's locked up in his fortress, and those people are coming in, and he has to fend off, protect his family. That would have been a much more interesting movie than what we have, because what we have tries to be this, lecture on morality and, the way things are and should be and all that kind of stuff, and none of it works. None of it works, and it's too predictable, it's stupid, the plot is stupid, the things that people do are stupid, and you just end up with this nothing of a movie, really. So
yeah, nothing.
that's kind of
Welcome to my world.
yeah, so that's kind of my thoughts on this movie. I mean, I guess if you want to laugh at a movie because it's so bad,
There are
Then I
worse
guess you
movies
can
to-
see it.
There are better movies to laugh at.
Well, sure.
At least it's short.
but other than that, there's really no redeeming values in this movie to me. So
Bringing up something.
sorry, I wanted it to be more than it was.
Bringing up something you said about no character development, and I laughed because I was thinking, when they were looking for the hobo, marching around with their flashlights and their guns, I was sitting there going, who do I want? Like, who's the main character? Who am I supposed to
Yeah. You don't
want to make it
anyone.
up? Because I don't like the kids. Obviously, they're stupid. The dad is kind of an asshole and being a dick. The hobo is also being a dick, and he's running away. I'm like, do I want the wife to do all right? Because she hasn't done anything. Does she win by default?
Yeah.
like that was it. I'm like, I guess I root for the mom because she hasn't done anything worthy of a personality trait or flaw. So I guess by default, vanilla character. I guess
Yeah.
I'll root for her.
And then, like, I don't know, the way that they, like, change their minds on thinking about things is just, none of it is warranted based
just-
on what
yeah,
we've
they just
seen
keep going
or
back.
based on any of it. Like, it's just changing their mind for the sake of...
Because someone wrote it down in the
let's change
script.
this. Yeah, exactly.
There's like no anything else. It's just they're like, and then you do this instead.
Yeah.
What's my motivation?
Okay.
I wrote it down.
So,
Do it. It's in the script.
yeah.
That's,
So anyways,
that's what it's seen.
You're a stupid whiny bitch. Just go along with that. Take from that.
And see.
So the rant baton will now be passed to Kit.
I want to start this off just saying that I vote for the internship because if we really want to see a comedy, we should just see something that was supposed to be a comedy.
So we could have not laughed at it?
Yeah, I would rather not laugh. I would have rather not laughed in a movie than just laugh at it like, oh my fucking god, just fucking die. I don't care about any of the characters. I want them to all to die, really. I wanted it to just like clean slate, everyone die.
To be fair, I was kind of holding on for that at the end too.
I know.
Yeah.
Again,
I saw the trailer.
it's so weird that end. It made no sense.
Fuck the ending. Fuck
it made
the
no
ending.
sense.
I saw the trailer and I thought it was interesting. The whole premise of the movie, which we've said 1,000 times already, and I thought, hey, that seems real interesting. Then I saw it again, and I kind of went like, oh wait a minute, this has things I don't like in movies. I don't like home invasion movies. I don't like shitty kids. The only movie that I like with home invasion and shitty kids is Home Alone. That's about it.
What about Home Alone 2?
Dude,
That was
you're
really
the second
Home
person that mentioned Home Alone in this review.
Yeah,
This is
Home Alone was what I was thinking about the whole time.
completely different tone,
about
completely
this
different movie, and
Yeah.
we keep thinking of Home Alone when it comes
Because
to
shitty kids, home invasion. That's the only one where it's okay.
You filthy animal.
Like there's so many bad movies with either like shitty home invasions or like shitty fucking kids. Like 28 Weeks Later, where the kids they're like, oh, the virus is all settled, we're safe. Shitty kids break the quarantine, go in London and ruin everything. Sorry.
Shitty.
I never saw 28 Weeks Later. Thanks for ruining it. Okay.
You don't need to see it. It just angered me. It
Got
just
shitty kids.
it just angered me.
Yeah, I figured I was okay just seeing 28 Days Later. So.
Stay there. Just watch that one. Pretty much, I try to give the movie the benefit of the doubt. Like I said, like at the ending, I expected some kind of plot twist or something to make me see the movie a bit differently. I really didn't. It just
Kids waiting for the
like I was like,
twist.
oh, here comes and fuck.
And there's the credits.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, great. I honestly think it would have been better if they when they captured the guy, just give him the fucking
Would
life.
have been a shorter movie.
Just give him the homeless guy.
And it already was short.
It was a shitty movie.
This is the worst thing.
And I love the scene where Lena Headey kind of just like looks at her husband and is like, what did we like? You know, like it's kind of like, how did we come to this? Look at us. And I kind of like, because you have shitty fucking kids.
Yeah,
Who
really.
opened the door for a complete stranger who could have deserved it for all we fucking know. And you should have given the code.
There's a part towards the end in which the daughter apologizes, and it's like, why are you apologizing? The other kid should be apologizing.
Yeah.
You brought
like,
all
I'm
this on
sorry.
everybody.
The daughter had reason to apologize because she kept on fucking running away, and then became a hostage.
Sure, but she should not have been the first one apologizing.
Yeah, no,
she's
Like,
true.
that little kid was not apologetic, didn't change.
No, he
like
was
even
like-
when they're all like, we're gonna come
Yeah.
and kill all your family, he's still trying to help the guy out. and he's
She's
like,
holding her son,
Yeah.
kisses on the forehead. You're not gonna get angry at the kid at all. You're not gonna say like, oh, like what the fuck were you thinking? Why did you let this guy in your house? He goes like, that's it. It's like, why'd you let him into our house? The one thing didn't answer the fucking question.
He said I needed help.
Yeah, he needed help,
Yeah.
so I let him in. Like,
Actually, I think it would have been much more interesting if that guy would end up being like
A
trying
serial-
to kill
yeah.
them. Then
That's what I thought would be a great idea.
That would have been a more interesting.
I thought if it
there's
would
so
have
many
been-
things that could have been more interesting about this movie.
that's the
than
twist I
there
was looking for.
are.
I was looking for a twist where he actually killed somebody, and the group was seeking like some sort of like revenge for that, or
Or maybe they thought
he-
he was, against them.
or he
like,
was
you
a-
know, something.
yeah,
They-
something.
that's-
He, like,
Wait, they didn't even
bankrupt
have
the family.
names. Stop expecting characters.
I know.
That's what I was hoping for. You know, in actuality, like the Purge, the whole idea of 12 hours, one night a year, like crimes, like all crime is like up for grabs. Like that idea. I would like to see that more.
There were
like
a little more rules in that, though.
I would
thought
like-
that was.
yeah, they had
I like
little
how
rules.
government officials are still off
Like
limits.
level
Yeah.
10,
Level
like
10.
that, and level 4
Yeah.
weapons. Cause
Yeah,
like,
you have to have
yeah,
a class of weapons.
that I thought was interesting. And like, here's what
Because you can't nuke someone,
Yeah,
like,
Well, I don't know what level 4 weapons are.
probably just like handguns, maybe
guns
small
are the highest,
explosives.
Obviously,
like
assault
that.
rifles.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
had
it
like
was-
an M16 or something.
I would have liked to see this movie with that premise be something like little stories. Like here's a woman who it starts off the setup, and here's like a guy who's like gonna kill another rich man for revenge or some shit like that. Like a guy who bankrupt his friend's family, killed his married his wife, blah blah blah, something like that. Another one where it's a woman, attractive woman, getting stalked by a man.
Kit, did you write 2 more interesting scenes
Yeah.
for the Purge?
I could write scenes that were more interesting in this movie.
So, like,
And I'm not a
Sin City
writer.
type
I didn't take
vignette
writing
thing.
classes. I could have come up with better ideas. They could have had like several short stories,
And it's-
work.
and
they would have worked.
The
Like I want to see what's
Okay.
going on in the cities.
what you're
What's going
talking
on.
about, is the like class warfare that they kind of focus on in this, which is kind of like the rich versus the
You
poor.
said-
I thought that was so
Don't say
stupid.
focus. 'cause
Okay,
there was no focus.
try to focus
Yeah.
on it. Like they try to make that a thing where it's like, oh well, the rich kill the poor and stuff like that.
Didn't like that. Didn't
Wouldn't
like that they had
the
to point
poor
that out.
just fucking band together and say "fuck you, rich people" too? Like, wouldn't there be 2 sides to this war? Wouldn't it not just be, oh, the rich people just kill?
I would
everyone?
imagine that the
It's-
poor would
it's
just
so-
kill
it's
the rich.
flimsy. Yeah, the
really.
rich are
Not when
gonna
you
be-
control-
Apparently, it's not
All
difficult to
weapons.
break into high security places.
Yeah, but and also, wouldn't you then? Okay, right before the purge,
That
wouldn't you
must have
do
been
something
illegal,
like
must legally.
break into some secure location or do whatever? Like there should have been much more. There should have been much more crime before the purge.
Yeah.
You know, in like anticipation. Like if you're like, oh man, I'm gonna be fucked when the purge comes around. You're gonna do everything you fucking can to make sure that doesn't happen. You're gonna go break into someone's
I would
like
go to
safe
the
home.
fucking desert,
You're gonna
dug
go.
a hole,
yeah, you're
like,
gonna.
cover myself
You're gonna
with
go
a
on a
guitar.
trip somewhere.
Yeah,
that's
where
my
you're fucking
plan.
safe. You know, like you're gonna not tell anyone where you're going and just go off somewhere. Like
I'd get in a scuba suit, drop in the fucking ocean, got 12 hours of air. What's that? That would be my plan. That's all I got. That's all I got.
All right.
We're in
So,
a scuba
all right.
suit and drop in the ocean.
I'm willing to admit that you guys thought the premise was interesting and that you
or that could be. That
or
could
that
be.
you could develop it a little bit more than this movie was. Going on after that.
It's funny that we're more interested in what me and Kid are describing as a movie than what this
We're
movie
describing
was.
more interesting movies, more interesting
Well, I like
scenarios.
Mitch mentioned like a Sin City type movie with this
Yeah.
premise, where with like a bunch of side stories. That could have been.
Yeah,
What
see,
you were
yeah,
saying.
like what I was saying.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
And like a more stylized, not realistic.
different perspectives
you know,
of it. Yeah,
cool
even
shit
from
going on.
even like from people who are
No.
who are taking advantage and killing other people, people who are just escaping, and just like people who were just in the middle. Like that could have just been a short story.
Well, let's all hope for
a
Purge
shitty
2 then.
short
Yeah,
story
there you go.
where they let in their kids let in people.
Or even
but,
even
yeah,
even
so.
flip it on its head and make it like a villain who's like this dick rich guy, and then a bunch of people that have been shitted on by him are trying to invade his home
Yes.
to kill him during this purge when
This-
it's able to.
This
to
could
do
be
it.
one of the reasons that Ethan Hawke
All
gets
this could've been good.
does these movies with
All
this
this
guy
could've been
is
good.
because he keeps on giving
Oh, well.
him false ideas about the movie. Like, oh, this is what it's about. It's like, it sounds interesting, but
or
here's
he's
what's really
just,
about.
or he's just friends with James DeMonaco.
That's the twist. The twist is him actually trapping him into the movies.
What was that movie with Alan Alda where he was like a rich guy at the top of his like,
Oh, Tower
Oh, the
Heist.
heist?
Yeah.
Yeah, Tower Heist,
Kinda
Yeah, I
thinking
don't. That's not what
I
I
didn't
would have
watch
wanted,
it.
but
yeah.
that's
I
a
would
Brett
watch it.
Ratner movie. We don't
Yeah.
speak of Brett Ratner movie.
In general, this movie,
I didn't know.
the most interesting part of this movie was the end. Partially because that's where all the
What?
action was.
That was
And
the
the-
most hilarious part of this movie.
That's why it was interesting, because it was funny. That's it.
But it wasn't supposed to be.
It was the only thing that grabbed my attention.
Did it entertain?
It
you?
was this forced morale. Oh,
Why are you arguing
this
with
should
me?
have never happened.
Why are you arguing with me? I'm saying of this movie, the only
Can't
part I
argue
actually
with
in
them.
like, I actually would
We
like,
learned that.
I actually didn't have a problem watching was the ending. Half because it was like that was where all the interesting parts were, and secondly because it was almost over. Because
Alright.
people were
I
getting
don't know if
stabbed
that's
and
all that
shanked and
interesting,
shit.
but-
No, sorry, I'm not saying like interesting over other movies. I didn't like this movie at all. I would never see this movie again. If it was on TV and I had to watch Baby Geniuses, I would watch Baby Geniuses.
Dude, Baby
for the-
Geniuses is sweet, but
Are you sure you wouldn't rather watch Baby
Terrible.
Geniuses too?
ooh, Val Kilmer.
I don't even want to know.
No, yeah, that's real
I
now.
don't think. Yeah,
But
like real
if-
genius.
if I had
That's
no
actually
option-
a pretty good movie.
This is
I
a
w-
prequel, right?
If this was the only thing on TV, I would just turn off the TV and just
You
like
do something else.
I would
Okay,
just I'd
alright,
drink
Ken,
myself to
I think we
pass
got
out.
enough hatred here for one thing. So let's take
In
over
general,
Mitch.
yeah.
Okay.
See if Mitch found any redeeming qualities in the Purge. All right.
Well, like you guys, I was drawn to the premise of this movie. I like Ethan Hawke and Lena Headey.
Lena,
Yeah.
I think. You know, I'm
as,
probably
as
wrong too.
actors.
Shut up.
Cersei Lannister.
So, yeah, there you go.
Just go with that.
Yeah, Lannister. Yeah, I don't know. Just the premise was good, but the plot was just what you guys were saying. There wasn't a lot of character development or anything, but I mean, their motivations were kind of annoying, like what you were saying. Like, one moment she's like stabbing the homeless guy, and the next moment she's like, "Oh, what are we doing?" It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You should have that
Yeah.
before you're stabbing them.
Yeah.
We're not taking him to a chair now. What are we doing?
I just
Yeah,
like,
it's
stabbing in the
you want
fucking
her to
gut,
do
man.
that again? She's like, yeah, she did it again.
You were
She's like,
stabbing
why
you.
am I doing this? Like,
Like, oh, you ordered again, stab him in the open wound again.
There's no
Push the
motivation.
ball.
Well, it's
There's no
good thing-
motivation for any.
good thing that wound
any
healed
decision.
by the end of the movie, though.
Yeah, yeah.
He was fine.
Certainly did.
All right,
I mean,
so-
I was entertained by it. Like, I didn't have high expectations for the movie. Like, I
Yeah.
just like the premise and those two actors like drew me to the movie, and I mean, there wasn't like anything. Like you were saying, it was just kind of like nothing.
There was nothing there.
Yeah, I don't know.
No character
Just
development, no real
entertainment.
It
story.
was an hour and 20-some minutes of footage that was shot.
Yeah.
What they could have watched on TV in that panic room, well, not really a panic room, had a wooden
Yeah, it
door,
wasn't
would
really-
probably have been interesting.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, the setting has potential for more, like we were saying. Like, that kind of interests me. Like, it's kind of interesting how they could enforce, like, the rules that they said there were for
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And also let everyone would play along to only do
Yeah.
stuff that day.
You're on the
But-
honor system there, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do they go and arrest people? We only got a class 5 weapon. You're going to jail.
Except for they said there were no police. So
How did they know?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd like to know what a class 5 weapon would be.
I guess they wait until the purge is over.
Yeah, I guess yeah.
They wait until the purge is over and then they go, you
Yeah.
did not follow
Like,
the
wait a minute.
rules.
Well, they got all those
You're a
cameras.
grenade launcher.
Yeah.
Because when it's over, everyone would just go back to their normal lives, right? And just be like, oh, okay, let's forget this ever
Who
happened.
cleans
Never
up
kill
all the
anyone
dead
again.
bodies?
They probably have a special city service for that.
Yeah.
Kind of like roadkill
Yeah.
people.
Sanitation type.
Yeah, there's
it's like,
there's government workers who do that.
like poor
Well,
bastards.
that's why unemployment's only
Yeah.
1%.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
No one wants to clean up the dead bodies. And they pop up in
Somebody
all
has
sorts of
to.
weird
I thought it was
places.
because they executed all the working poor.
Yeah, that's what we were supposed to believe.
They pop up in all the weird places. Like, how the hell does this son of a bitch get inside the sewer drain here? Things
That's
like
not a
that.
weird place at all.
Oh, that's a weird
Okay,
place.
do you have anything
I
else?
mean-
You come up with one.
Yeah, that's about it. You guys covered most of what I was gonna say. So.
Okay, so in a nicer way of
Yeah.
basically saying we were right, then what we got so many.
I actually thought,
Yeah.
like, don't. We didn't like downshod your whole.
No, I
like,
wasn't offended
Right.
or anything.
Right. No, because like I thought you had a positive outlook on this movie.
You
like,
said
after
you thought
saw
you
it.
were a little more positive than we were
Yeah.
in this movie.
Well, I mean, I wasn't upset for watching it. Like, I don't know. Like,
I'm glad I watched it because now I know,
yeah.
and knowing is half the battle.
Yeah.
So,
No, this is probably one of those shitty movies I'd probably watch again.
Why?
Obviously while drunk and obviously just making fun of it the entire time.
I wouldn't have even watched this movie to begin with. When I saw the trailer, I was like, all right,
You said you liked the premise.
you know,
and-
whenever
I like the idea, but then like I was like, shitty kids home invasion. No.
Whenever
Let's
we
not do
vote
this.
differently, whoever was right has to brag about it in this podcast or show or whatever we're gonna call it. That's what I noticed.
Yeah.
You know, this is like the third or fourth time that someone's like, "Well, I didn't vote for this movie." when we do this,
Oh, that's me then.
so this time it's you.
Was there even a,
Holy
a
shit!
score to this movie? Like, I didn't recall any music.
Really, what this is a not very good weekend to go to the movies unless you're catching up.
Probably should have
Really,
watched something else.
if you're
We should-
catching up and watching some stuff, like maybe you missed Star Trek or Fast 6 or something, you can go back and watch those things. You
Yeah.
know,
We should have done one of those older movies we talked about. We should call
'Cause next
called
week-
Wrath of Khan, Inception, or Roadhouse.
Next
Fucking
week-
saw one of those movies.
next week, you know, you got Man of Steel, and this is the end, and this is kind of them going, well, here's some stuff. Really, though, I think this is probably when Hangover 3 should have came out instead of having to go against Fast 6. I think
Yeah.
that was a mistake on their part.
Yeah, I
going,
would-
let's go up against this movie
I
that
should have
everybody
saw
loves.
Fast 6
So,
instead.
Yeah.
But you already saw it, so it doesn't
yeah.
really matter.
So, yeah, kind of a downer weekend for movies if you're going to see
So
something
that
new.
gets Fast 6.
Just go see something again or see something you missed. Is basically what we're saying.
Or just not go to the movies, just find something else to do with until like This Is the End is on, and then after that watch
That does look
Man
good.
of Steel. Yeah, that does look good.
sure it'll be
Can't
better.
wait. Like, I'm interested in that movie. That's gonna be interesting. But
We'll see what
That's
happens.
another home invasion movie.
we should have skipped.
Yeah, kind of. That's funny because you're so against home invasion.
It wasn't really. Okay, you
Emma
know what?
Watson like breaks in the
Yeah, and
door.
steals their shit.
And she has an axe too.
That's okay. No shitty kids. And
don't know.
Emma Watson's
we
hot,
don't
so
know.
I'm okay
We
with
haven't
that.
seen the movie yet.
Emma Watson overpowers like 6 comedians. I'm cool with that, or 5. I don't know how many in the movie.
Yeah.
Enough.
All right.
Enough.
So anyways, enough talking about other movies
because
because this movie was not very good. So, there you go. You've been warned.